It's 4 o'clock on a Monday, and you know what that means. It's time for another exciting episode of Taxi TV Live. Yeah, baby. Welcome to the big show, everybody. And thank you, fake band. Thank you, fake audience. Subscribe. I am the Sultan of Subtlety. Man, I saw that sitting on the desk and couldn't resist. Hello, everybody. Oh, yeah, while you're at it, like us. Get the chat room open and say hello to Anna Yarbrough, Asaf, A Chic, Kano Beats, Kaz, Danny Weber, Dave Skinner, Dean Turner, Gail D. Oh, they're scrolling by now. Ghost Artist, Gloria Covington, JDS Quay, Jennifer, Jesse, John, Ken, M3 Lucian, Mark 12318. I hope that's not like the combination to the safe under the floor in your bedroom. Where did I go? Peter Rahill, one that I can't pronounce. Robbie Hancock, Sonolab, Stephen Frisch, Tasha Parker, TSO Chris, TX Polly, and a bunch of anonymous people. Come on, out yourselves, anonymous people. Anyway, welcome to the show, you guys. So what did I want to tell you today? Oh, it's not, somebody wrote in and said, does Michael only own 5 shirts? And I'm thinking that's because I wear the same 5 shirts over and over again on Taxi TV. And the reason for that is most of my shirts are striped. And when you wear a striped shirt on camera, it does kind of like what those blinds behind me are doing. That. So I have to wear solid color shirts all the time. And today I was eating a hamburger from the Roach Coach truck out in the parking lot. And as I was biting into it, I was thinking, oh man, this thing's going to get all over me. Sure enough, a piece of burger and tomato flew out, hit my shirt, got mayonnaise all over the shirt I was wearing. Luckily, I've got this dude hanging on the back of my door as my backup shirt for Taxi TV, so that's why you're seeing it twice in 2 weeks. So there you have it. The big shirt mystery is solved. Onward to more important things. Yeah, that's my Monday shirt, exactly, and I've got my Monday underoos on down south there, Peter. What else do I want to tell you guys? Sure, yeah. Oh, don't miss next week's show. I've got a music library owner on the show who I absolutely adore. I was trying to get Shirelli on today's show, but he's just busier than all get out. So that's why we are doing something I actually really like, and I think you guys maybe even like it more than I do, which is forwards and returns. So today we are going to listen to listing number Y170428US. And that listing actually said light, uplifting, singer-songwriter songs with male or female. Oh, it's missing the word vocals. Typo. With male or female vocals are needed by a seriously hardworking, non-exclusive music library that's always getting placements in a bunch of TV shows. That's true. Film projects, and most recently, movie trailers. Yeah, this company, it's a small company, probably a 2 or 3 person outfit, and they've decided to go after trailers in a big way, and I think that they're being pretty successful for a small company. They're searching for mid to up-tempo songs, but don't be fooled. This is not necessarily, this listing was not necessarily for trailers. I'm just saying that as an anecdotal thing. Searching for mid to up-tempo songs, the general stylistic wheelhouse of the following references: Hey Soul Sister by Train, Bloom by the Paper Kites, I'm Yours by Jason Mraz. Please submit well-crafted songs that are lyrically and melodically uplifting with instrumentation and production that's primarily acoustic-based. Something as simple as a guitar vocal could work for this as long as it's done really well, or really done well. Nobody likes a steak that's done well, do they? A small ensemble could work for this as well. Group harmonies, foot stomps, and hand claps could all potentially fit nicely for this request. You know those songs that usually show up in the last part of the feel-good film trailers? The ones that are so uplifting that you want to stand up in the theater and yell, I love my life! But then you chicken out because you don't want to look like an idiot. Yep, that's what they're looking for. They want songs that make people feel that good. Lyric themes can vary, but should be consistent with themes you typically hear in life-affirming, feel-good, in the life-affirming, feel-good area of singer-songwriter. Ugh, I can't read. You know what? I gotta admit something. I've got a jaw thing going on today. I had dental work done about a week ago, maybe just last Wednesday or Thursday. And you know, before you get the crown on it and you've got the temporary stuff going on and your mouth is just a little out of balance, like one tooth is a little higher, or you know, do that. I'm doing that. So my jaw is like really spazzing out. Anyway, let me find where I was. Lyric things can vary but should be consistent with themes you typically hear in the life-affirming, feel-good area of the singer-songwriter genre. Lyrics that don't mention specific names, dates, places, times, brands, and profanity will be appreciated. Do not copy or rip off the reference artist in any way, shape, or form. Use them only as a guide for tempo, texture, and tone. You know the drill on that. Genre-appropriate broadcast quality is needed. And what that means when I say genre-appropriate broadcast quality, it means that if it's a... Let's say you're doing a singer-songwriter thing that's just a guitar vocal and it's a really, you know, intentionally lo-fi thing, you know, don't try and make the acoustic guitar sound like it's the Eagles if it's supposed to be kind of like the strings are maybe a little on the dull side or the guitar is ever so slightly out of tune, or it doesn't sound particularly silky. You know, there are times where depending on the style within the genre, you want the guitar or the vocal to sound a certain way. Not everything needs to sound pristine, silky, and glossy, as one of our staff members used to say all the time. In other words, organic recordings that don't sound too slick or overproduced are likely the best way to go. This library offers a non-exclusive 50-50 deal. You'll get 50% of any applicable sync fees, 100% of the writer's share. The publisher will get 50%, blah, 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 blah. That's all just deal-oriented stuff. So there you go. There's the listing. Non-exclusive, mid to up-tempo, well-crafted, lyric and melodically uplifting with instrumentation production that's primarily acoustic-based. Group harmonies, foot stomps, and hand claps could all potentially fit nicely for this request. Doesn't mean you have to have them, right? Yeah, so that about covers it. So let's listen to some music. And for those of you who are new to this little exercise that we love to do so much, what we do is we listen to the song. We don't announce the person's name whose song it is, because as much as we would like to pat people on the back and, you know, give them a what do you call it? Not a howdy doody, whatever you call it, an attaboy. You know, sometimes people don't love the song they hear, so we don't want to have the opposite of that. So we don't mention any names. And be nice, be constructive, but don't start making your comments till the song is over. Otherwise, you could sway the voting. And here's how we do the voting. You hit a +1 after the music has stopped. +1 if you would forward that, -1 if you would not. And because we've got Paulie, TX or Texas Paulie in the room, and he's really good about doing a head count. May not be 100% accurate all the time, but if Paulie's on it, probably is. So he'll let us know how you guys out there in TV land voted, and I will let you know after we hear that if you guys agreed with the screener. So without any further ado, my favorite French word, and yes, I am back to using my little flying saucer because that laptop actually does have a CD player in it, but it's not in my office at the moment. Somebody else is using it. So let's have a listen, and this one is called Sunset Song. Let's see how my levels.
Shining on your side of the bed. Don't push it, grab a 20 instead. 'Cause it's the sunlight, what's the strength of our love? Don't let the
Sunset Song. Cast your votes, ladies and gents. +1 if you would forward that, -1 if you would not. I am absolutely dying to see if you agreed with the screener on that. Hey, Maryband, by the way, there are instructions at the bottom of the email that I send out every week now. There's actually a link that you can go to that tells you how to solve the problems that you may be having with the freezing all the time. Okay, Polly, are you good for counting so I can be lazy? I'm not going to say what I'm seeing so far. That vocalist did sound familiar. That sound you hear is my adorable little CD player spinning. And I'm going to make it a little cooler while you guys are counting. I'll be right back. I promise. Rockstar, baby. All right, the votes are still coming in. No, I don't have crickets. That's just that's my little CD player. All right, I think the votes are all done. Paulie says he's good for counting them up. I mean, I can tell just, anecdotally. Oh, there we go. 19 would forward and 8 would not. And let's see what the screener did. The screener forwarded that. So 19 of you. Oh, I want to let you know there were 270 submissions for this, and there were 43 forwards, which shooting from the hip is roughly 15-16%, right? So let's call it 16% probably. So those of you who said you would forward it got that right. All right. Now we are moving on to a song called Rainbow's End. I think there's a theme here. Sunset Song, Rainbow's End, Everything's in the Sky. Let's have a listen.
I've often stopped to look up at a rainbow and marveled how the colors glow. Some say what delights my sight is just a trick of light, but let me tell you what I've seen. To me the grass is brighter green at Rainbow's End, at Rainbow's End. It's not an easy road to fame and fortune. You can't expect to get there soon. Though some people, I've been told, search for a pot of gold without a rhyme or reason why. They follow colors in the sky to Rainbow's End, to Rainbow's End. There's no pot of gold or lucky charm lying waiting to be found. No treasure buried there where those colors touch the ground. When your search for luck is over, forget that four-leaf clover. There is one lucky charm. It's finding love, finding love. I've done my share of chasing after rainbow, gone the way the warm wind blows. I've traveled south, I've traveled north, that useless back and forth, when all the time my lucky charms are here when I am in your arms, at rainbow's end, at rainbow's end. I've traveled south, I've traveled north, that useless back and forth, when all the time my lucky charms are here when I am in your arms, at rainbow's end, at rainbow's end. You're my lucky charm, you're here in my arms, at rainbow's end, at rainbow's end.
All right, cast your votes, please. +1 if you would forward that as the screener, -1 if you would not. And I've got to say, Kato just said, sounds a little like Dad, doesn't it, Mom? That's the first time anybody's ever said that. In 7 years of doing Taxi TV, nobody's ever said anything sounded like their dad in the chat room. So thanks for being an original. Got to give you points where they are due. Sasha says, your dad is Stevie Wonder? In so many words. All right. I'm going to reread some of the high points of the listing again. Lyrically and melodically uplifting, primarily acoustic based. Group harmonies, foot stomps, and hand claps could all potentially fit nicely. Doesn't mean you have to have them. You know, the songs that usually show up in the last part of the feel-good film trailers, the ones that are so uplifting that you want to stand up in the theater and yell, I love my life! I've done that. It's embarrassing, but I've done it. But then you chicken out because you don't want to look like an idiot. Well, some of us just don't care. Anyway, they're looking for songs that make people feel like that. Life-affirming, feel-good area of the singer-songwriter genre. So, let's see. Mojo Bone says, whew, just showered. You're welcome for the mental image. The mental image of you showering. I don't know, that's a little scary, Mojo. I don't know, what the heck are you talking about? I fought the lawn and the law won. Wow, you were cutting the lawn? George Benson sounds like Stevie to me. Mowing grass in the hot sun. Okay, we're bantering back and forth. And Paulie says the voting is over, and he's got 3 + 1s, meaning 3 people would forward and 25 would not. So 3, 20, and those of you who did not forward that are in the majority. You agree with the screener, and you called that one. Kind of a cool song. I think a lot of us probably liked it, not that I'm putting thoughts in your head or words in your mouth, but not right for the listing. It wasn't uplifting. It was kind of warm and tender and cool. It could definitely, I could imagine scenes that would work in. That would be great for like a piano bar scene where there's source music, the guy at the grand piano or baby grand sitting off in the background somewhere doing that. I don't know. There are other ways it could be used, but it's not really right for the listing. So let's see. Peter Rahill is 2 for 2. Go get him, Peter. Hey, Peter, I actually commented this morning. I went into the forum, and I think in the music biz section, maybe? I don't know, somewhere in there, I saw a question by you, and I answered, which those of you who are regulars in the forum know they don't do that a lot. Okay, let's move on. Let's listen to another one. This one is called Good Things Come With Time.
Just like a baby bird learning to fly, or like the honeybees building the hive. There are some things that happen lightning fast. They take a little while if they're gonna last. So I'm gonna slowly wait out. Take a real deep breath. Not gonna dive in head first. I'll hold out for the very best. Yeah, I'm waiting for love. Good things come with time. When wants to rush me along, but I'm doing just fine. 'Cause I know good things come with time. 'Cause I know good things come with time. Not gonna worry about the how and the when. My friends will come my word in a million years. That hair, those eyes, that sense of style, what I've been searching for. 'Cause you can be hasty with the forevermore. So I'm gonna slowly wait out. I'm gonna take a real deep breath. I'm not gonna dive in head first. I'll hold out for the very best. Yeah, I'm waiting for love. Good things come with time. Well, wants to rush me along, but I'm doing just fine. 'Cause I know good things come with time. 'Cause I know good things come with time. They say Rome wasn't built in a day. Don't they know that love works the very same way? Ooh, 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 ooh. And I'm waiting for love. Good things come with time. One wants to rush me along, but I'm doing just fine. 'Cause I know good things come with time. 'Cause I know good things come with time. I know good things come with time.
All right. Curious to see what you guys thought. Cast your votes. +1 if you would forward that if you were the screener. -1 if you would not. Polly, get your pencil out, dude. Mojo says Gwen Stefani meets Lily Taylor. Ooh, nice bridge. You're the kind of guy who walks up to a young lady and goes, ooh, nice bridge. I get it. Hey, Dean, how are you, man? I think the song could... I'm not going to say that because I don't want anybody to be influenced by your astute observation. But hi, Dean. That was me trying to do reggae with my mouth. Now you know why I am not the beatbox guy. Votes are still coming in. For those of you who are watching this after the fact in the archive going, why is the host of the show staring, looking like a still shot? Could you imagine if you're not part of the regular, like taxi TV viewing audience, and you see this guy just sitting there going, oh my goodness. There were no pops and clicks in the mix. There were some like finger snaps. Polly's calculating. Sasha says drum roll. Or California roll. Ooh, interesting. So Polly says 11 people would forward and 29 people would not. So that one was a little closer, a 1-to-3 ratio, give or take. And those of you who would not were in league with the screener. It did not get forwarded, and there were many things that were likable about it, but we live in a subjective world. It's not whether or not you like the song or you don't. Sometimes it's just about, was that lyrically and melodically uplifting? Yeah, kind of. Was it primarily acoustic based? Yeah, I can hear the reggae electric guitar, but that's okay. Didn't have to be, it said primarily acoustic based. Oh, by the way, did I mention, I think I did, that the references were Hey Soul Sister by Train, Bloom by the Paper Kites, and I'm Yours by Jason Mraz. Man, we could do an entire show on whether or not you should listen, read what the listing says and go by that, or if you should go by what the references are. Telling you what, coming up with the references, we do try and almost always, we don't always, but almost always, we get at least one reference from the person running the listing. And frankly, here's a great example. We had one today, a listing that I wouldn't run till it gets reworked because they were looking for future bass. And the song that the person, the publisher gave us a song that had a future bass break or breakdown in it. But, you had to go like a minute and 15 seconds into that song to hear that break. And most people wouldn't, and they'd go, what the hell are you talking about? This song is not future bass. Frankly, I wasn't even sure there's a guy named Casey Neistat on YouTube, and a lot of his music is now what I know would be called future bass. I really like the genre. Pretty cool, hip genre for an old dude like myself. But the song that the publisher gave us had a future bass section, but you had to get there, and a lot of people wouldn't. And so we're looking for other references, and it's also tough sometimes to find references that are purely instrumental that aren't already in a library somewhere. So in a lot of cases, we have to use a reference. We could probably spend like 5 or 6 hours per song searching, but we don't have that kind of time. So we'll use a reference that is on the money but has a vocal in it. And then there's the situation where, so an instrumental version of that. If I take the vocal out, the melody goes away. What do I do? Because now it sounds like a rhythm track. You add back in what I would call melody light, rather than hitting every vocal note and making it sound like 101 strings or some sort of Muzak version of a song. Just hit, like every bar hit a melody note to give it some sort of sense of melody, but not every vocal or every melody note that the vocal part might have done. And a lot of times that works. Sometimes it doesn't, but a lot of times it does. Okay, so that was Good Things Come With Time, and 11 people would have forwarded it and 29 did not, which reconfirms what the screener thought, but a little close there. Not like right on the line, but a little close. Now we are going to listen to Letting in the Sunshine. Have a listen to this.
It's just the beginning, and I know what I wanna do. I wanna share each moment with you. Everybody needs a little sunshine, baby. I'll be yours and you could be mine, baby. We could chase out the clouds, let the tides out loud, roll the windows down, letting in the sunshine.
That was ear candy.
Every morning into a Saturday. I love how you make me feel that way. Now I'm kinda hoping that you would be open to trying out something new. I wanna spend each morning with you. Everybody needs a little sunshine, baby. I'll be yours and you could be mine, baby. We could chase out the clouds, let the tides out loud, roll the windows down, letting in the sunshine. Letting in the sunshine. Letting in the sunshine. Will you be my sunshine? 'Cause I can be your sunshine too.
Should I go ahead and stop them sooner? You guys are expressing that you would like that.
'Cause I can be your sunshine. Sweet sunshine.
Okay, here we go. Fastest fade ever. There, I covered up my really fast fade with applause. That was Letting in the Sunshine. Cast your votes. +1 if you would forward that for a listing that's looking for lyrically and melodically uplifting, acoustic bass primarily. Foot stomps, hand claps, harmonies could all potentially fit. Excuse me. Why is the rock star makes me burp? Let's see. Uplifting, feel good, life affirming, all that stuff. Was that a +1 for a forward or a -1 for a return? And while you guys are voting, what was it that I was going to tell you about? Oh, Andrea ATX says, like to hear the endings. I know, I always feel bad cutting stuff off. Okay, write, submit, forget, and repeat. For those of you who are not taxi regulars, this is a mantra that was invented maybe by our very own Matt Hurt, if not Matt, some other members along the way. And what it means, it's not meant to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Not meant to be glib. Nope, no glibness there. It means when you submit something, don't let your entire existence on the planet Earth hinge on whether or not you're going to get forwarded for a particular thing. Just keep working on other stuff. Fill the pipeline. Keep moving forward. Be like a shark, constantly moving. I got a call the other day. Several of the staff members, a couple of the staff members, I think, had received several calls from a gentleman who was nice enough, and he had been forwarded to a film TV publisher, if I remember this correctly, and that publisher had reached out to the gent. They'd had a couple back and forths, maybe email, maybe a phone call, I don't know, I think emails. And then at some point, the publisher just quit talking to the guy, even though the publisher, if I'm not mistaken, again, I'm remembering this from a few days ago, I think the publisher had offered the gentleman a deal, and then at some point stopped. And the guy was a little disturbed, or like, what does that mean? And I said, I don't know, people in the industry are really busy. Maybe he or she had a change of heart. As the phone conversation went on and on, I could say this gentleman was again, nice enough and a smart guy. I enjoyed speaking with him, but he was like ever so slightly in my face isn't a good term, but I kept saying to him, just move on, keep doing stuff. And I thought maybe the conversations with the publisher, even though I think they were emails, maybe they were a little like the publisher might have felt, and I'm just guessing this, so I'm not criticizing the guy, but maybe the publisher felt like maybe a relationship with this individual might have been more work than they were willing to invest, because publishers really just need to sign stuff, put it in the catalog, and then kind of wait for an opportunity for somebody to request it, and then, Paulie's trying to get my attention, he's got a number, and then that's how it goes. They don't have enough time to be like personally involved with every one of the people who has music in their catalog. So write, submit, forget, and repeat. Okay. Paulie says 38 plus ones and 0. Okay. 38. Which one was that? That was, okay, that was Letting in the Sunshine, and that was 38 yeses, forwards to 0 returns, and you guys nailed that one exactly, right on the money. Yay, good job. It was pretty apparent. I made a note on that one that I felt like it could have been a little faster. I understand the groove. It was in a pocket, and it felt right for the kind of song it was and the groove that it had, I get it. I think if it were a pinch faster, it might be even more appealing. That's just my opinion. There you go. Martin J. Frog, hey Martin, how are you? Says that song would fit so many listings. I can picture it being used for many things. That's what publishers love. There are times where publishers hear stuff that's really, really good, but if they have one song or one instrumental that has a ton of potential and a ton of different situations or scenes, and another one that's equally as good, maybe even better, but it doesn't have a high probability of getting used in a lot of scenarios or scenes, they're likely to invest their time and effort into the piece of music that does have a high likelihood. Okay. So there we go. Now we are moving on to another one, which is called It's a Beautiful Day. Let's have a listen.
The birds are singing a sweet lullaby. It's time to wake up, not a cloud in the sky. The sun shining bright, my eyes open wide. So good to wake up with you by my side. Life is good, time to start my day. Can hardly wait, it's a beautiful day. Life is good, everything is okay. Got a smile on my face, it's a beautiful day. Get a warm fuzzy feeling when I'm with you. This beautiful day is helping me too. No worries, no cares, the sky is so blue. Just wanna go out and enjoy it with you. Life is good, time to start my day. Can hardly wait, it's a beautiful day. Life is good, everything is okay. Got a smile on my face, it's a beautiful day. La la, la la, baby.
All right, cast your votes. +1 if you would forward that, -1 if you would not. Let's see what you guys say. And I'm seeing all your posts about the video freezing for the live broadcast. I haven't changed anything. All my settings on this end are the same. And actually, I shouldn't even say this out loud, but things have been remarkably stable on our end with Ustream. And by the way, just so you guys know, some of you have actually sent emails saying, hey, Michael should try this or try that. I have downloaded 2 other programs or pieces of software and played with them and experimented with them rather than using Ustream. Unfortunately, getting the integration of the chat room isn't quite as easy. Doing the research, it's like some people love them, some people hate them. So I'm not sure that there's a dramatic difference, or would be. And I kind of hate to switch unless there's something that looks to be rock solid that I know that once we make the switch that we ain't going back. So sorry, for the moment, kind of stuck on Ustream. And it's so funny because I'm actually broadcasting at low bandwidth just so that it makes it easier for you guys. Major Look says, must be ransomware. Nothing would surprise me after Friday. Polly is calculating. Refresh. Edward D Music says refresh and live stream comes right back. I saw somebody else mention just copy the URL and paste it into another tab and it'll work. So clearly it has something to do with that. Yeah, I just got distracted by the number. Paulie just posted the number and he says 5 people said yes that they would forward, and 26 said they would not. And I've got to say, I agree with you guys that more people would not have forwarded that, and the screener disagreed with us. Nothing bad about that, certainly, but it just felt like, again, could have been a little more up-tempo, and the mix just didn't feel very full. It felt kind of demo-ish or something, but hey, the screener was in the moment. It was his or her call to make. I don't know who the screener was on that one. I don't have the screener number anywhere, but I personally wouldn't make that call, but then again, sometimes I wasn't the screener on it. Mary Band says low bandwidth is only part of the equation. Also needs to have an adjustable bit rate. Polly says sound like a demo. Kano agrees with me. Well, yes, of course. Everybody should agree with me all the time. Nobody ever agrees with me, actually. I'm married and I have children. Nobody. All right, let's move on. And now we're going to listen to one called Every Piece of Me. Let's have a listen.
When the world woke up, I was breathing you in. The feel of your skin next to mine, like the sun through the trees and the soft autumn breeze. Laying here feeling fine. We can steal another day away. We can make it all worthwhile. Spend this day with me. I promise you my smile. Take each piece of me till every piece of you is mine. Is mine. As the sunset fades and I'm caught in your gaze, a billion stars light your eyes, and the world breathes in just to feel you exhale. But we can say our goodbyes. We can steal another day away. We can make it all worthwhile. Spend this day with me. I promise you my smile. Take each piece of me till every piece of you is mine. Is mine. We can steal another day away. We can make it all worthwhile. Spend this day with me. I promise you my smile. Take each piece of me till every piece of you is mine. Is mine.
Sorry. Cast your votes, ladies and gents. +1 if you would forward that, -1 if you would not. I saw something go by in the chat room that I wanted to comment on. Where'd it go? No, that's funny. I want every piece of you equals Dexter. I used to love Dexter. Yeah, where did that go? By the way, I probably brought this up last week, but if you haven't watched the show Billions on Showtime, Billions with a B, the first few episodes were like okay, and they kept getting better and better. Excuse me, and now it's been through, I believe, 2 seasons. It just had the season finale a week or two ago of season 2. The episode before the season finale was one of the best episodes of TV I've seen in a very, very long time. But the music supervision on that series is pretty freaking state-of-the-art. The supervisor's name is Jim Black, and wow. All I can say is just wow. Okay, that was every little piece, or every piece of me. And Polly says three people said they would forward it, and 28 said they would not. Wow. Yes, Tim, it's Paul Giamatti. And he might be not the best actor in the whole show, believe it or not, because he's pretty damn good. So 3 to 28, 3 people would forward, 28 would not. Frankly, I'm surprised by that one. I will agree, it was forwarded, and I've got to say that, yeah, it didn't have the, wave your flag in the air, life-affirming, holy crap, my life is wonderful thing going on. It had a tenderness for me, personally. I felt that it had a certain amount of all is good with my life and I love it vibe going on, but I could see how people would agree that it didn't fit with the listing. There was something life-affirming about it in that it looked at the relationship in a positive way, but yeah, it didn't have that, where was it, lyrically and melodically uplifting. It was a little wistful, as I think Mojo might have said earlier in the chat. And I could see, it could be used very, very well in a film trailer, certainly for like an indie movie, indie feature film. That I wouldn't argue with. But it wasn't so uplifting that you want to stand up in the theater and yell, I love my life. But there was something life-affirming about it. Life-affirming in a tender sort of way. So I was kind of on the fence about it, but I was leaning towards forwarding it. Yeah, they didn't specify wistful. They didn't, you know. By the way, I'm not going to mention it on the show in any detail, but we are working on something brand new, remarkably simple, at least it appears to be simple on the surface, that will really help. I'm not going to say anymore. And I'm not being coy. I'm not trying to torture you guys. I just don't want to. There are a lot of little nits that we're working out with this new thing, and I don't want to talk about it before we do it because, frankly, a lot of people copy what we do, and I don't want to give them any sort of edge that they might roll something out that looks like a cheap imitation of it before we do it, and then it looks like we copied them when actually they copied us. Yeah, Mojo says life-affirming. Exactly, Mojo. Life-affirming in a Subaru commercial kind of way. Yes. So that's why I personally would have forwarded that. It could play behind a happy couple together at the last end of a rom-com, a romantic comedy. Peter Rayo was Dances with Wolves in indie film. I'm not sure. Taxi needs AI screeners, artificial intelligence screeners. Boy, that would make my life a lot less expensive. Okay. So that was that one. Let's move on to one called All This Time. How are we doing on time, by the way? I think we're doing pretty okay. All right, this is called All This Time. Let's have a listen.
Imagine you found something you never knew was missing. Something so obvious you never knew that it was lost until it found you there. Now it's everywhere. Imagine your brightest day, perfect in every way, 1,000 times magnified, now make it last for all your life. Can you imagine this? 'Cause I'm falling, can't help from wondering over and over again why it's taken me all this time to get here tonight. Said what I really need, but I didn't say a thing. No unnecessary words, 'cause nobody's ever heard what I didn't say before. But not anymore, 'cause I'm falling, can't help from wondering over and over again why it's taken me all this time to get here. I'm falling, can't help from wondering over and over again why it's taken me all guess I'm for you. I can't help from wondering why it's taking me.
All right, there we go. Sorry, that was a fast fade. People are starting to ask me to stop it so that they can vote. Go ahead, cast your votes. This is called All This Time. +1 if you would forward that, -1 if you would not. Yeah, talking about, people were chatting a little bit ago about if they would or wouldn't forward the one prior to this, and now they're confused. I would say that 99% of the time, over all the years that we've had the Taxi Forum, where somebody hasn't gotten forwarded and they've gone on the forum and said, hey, community, don't you think the screener got this wrong? I would say 98, 99% of the time that the community, usually the first 2 or 3 people out of the gate go, wow, I really love that song. And they're nice. They're being positive and supportive of their fellow members. But if you look at the vote from the community, almost every time, I don't think I can't remember ever having a case where everybody's like, oh my gosh, the screener got that so wrong. Screeners do get it wrong from time to time, but far less often than you would think. And the community has proven that over the years. Polly is calculating. Kano says George Michael and Bryan Adams. And the vote was 0 people would forward, 35 would not. Paulie says sadly unanimous. Yeah, it was, again, we rarely play bad music. And this stuff wasn't picked to be on the show by me. It wasn't like I went through and hand-picked and said, let's play this or that. I'm hearing it for the first time as well. So, just because it wasn't forwarded doesn't mean that it's bad. It just means that it wasn't right. Let me write down the numbers. I do actually keep these in many cases. 0 to 35. Okay. Let's listen now to one called Tied to the Shore. Here we go.
It takes a grain of sand to make a pearl. It takes a grain of truth to change the world. I've been stalling, sighing for a sign, but nothing's changed, nothing but the tide. Coming in to remind me, to arrive I gotta go. Every ever's gotta flow. Nothing gets found, it doesn't get lost. I gotta make a journey if I wanna get across. I won't get nothing tied to the shore. I gotta cross deep water, whatever's down there, but I won't get over watching despair. I won't get anywhere tied to the shore, tied to the shore, tied to the shore. Sun's always shining on the other side, and all my grumbling ain't gonna make it right. That light shines so bright, such a beautiful sight, such a beautiful sight, yeah. But nothing gets found that doesn't get lost. I gotta make a journey if I wanna get across. I won't get nothing tied to the shore. I gotta cross deep water, whatever's down there, but I won't get over watching despair. won't get anywhere. Tied to the shore, tied to the shore. I might get washed away. So much will have to change. Once I cut that road, I gotta let it go. I gotta let it go. Yeah, nothing gets found that doesn't get lost. I gotta make a journey if I wanna get across. I won't get nothing tied to the shore. Gotta cross deep water, whatever's down there, but I won't get over watching despairing. I won't get anywhere. Tied to the shore, tied to the shore, tied to the shore.
All right, cast your votes. +1 if you would forward that. -1 if you would not. Might I say that, now how can I say this, and I mean this in a nice way. Many, many years ago, I can't even think of his name right now. John Bon Jovi's cousin was a friend of mine from the studio business, and I'm drawing a blank on his first name, and he actually spelled Tony Bon Jovi, who owned the Power Station in New York, which is now under a different name that I can't remember the name of, but it's a world-class famous studio. Tony Bon Jovi, I've known him since like 1977 maybe? That long? 40 years? That's scary. We still, every now and then, have a reason to bump into each other. Anyway, I remember him playing me some John Bon Jovi demos back in the day, and this reminds me of that moment. Interesting, and I don't mean that in any bad way. It just is what it is. Ron Bon Jovi. Yeah, that's a real name, except it's spelled like Bon Jovi, Bongiovi. Bon Jovi is how Bon Jovi was actually spelled. I remember I was sitting in a McDonald's on Route 22 in New Jersey, in like Scotch Plains, New Jersey, with my daughters who were probably like 3 and 5 years old at the time, and Tony Bon Jovi, big, like famous engineer producer that owned the Power Station Studios back in the day, walked in. We just like, yo, what are you doing here in this McDonald's in this weird place? All right, unanimous. 34 people gave it a -1, saying they would not forward, and that is exactly in line with the screener, who did not forward it. Let us listen to a song called The Real Thing, Bon Jovi. Bon Jovi, yeah, Mojo's got it right. And are Cater Bone and Mojo Bone related? Are they part of the Bone family? Where am I? This is called The Real Thing. Let's have a listen.
Seeing you in my dreams and talking to computer screens, it ain't gonna cut it. No more wondering what you're doing now, thinking about whether or not are you thinking about me, cause I'm thinking a lot about you, baby. I'm ready for loving, yes I am. Oh, I've been spending a lot of time being stuck in my mind, thinking about the way things should be. I'm gonna stop the illusion, I'm gonna cut the confusion. Oh, said, baby, listen. something genuine, and they can't wait to skin your in. Baby, you got the real thing. Check it. We've been together now 3 months or so, but I fell in love with you like 3 years ago. It must have been your energy, it must have been your glow. I knew that you would be la reina de mi corazón. Suerte bonita, te quiero mamacita. I wanna tell it to you every second that I see you. I wanna scream it from the top of my beach. Feel you like a banana and eat you. I need you, my sweet tooth has a cavity, and every time we're gonna feel like gravity. Yeah, we go together so mathematically. Imagine all the different places that we're gonna see together. Gonna be together, climb trees together, even eat together, but not on the same loaf. We both gotta focus on ourselves, but you know I'll be there for you anytime you need help. I've been spending a lot of time, being stuck in my mind, thinking about the way things should be. I'm gonna stop the illusion, I'm gonna cut the confusion. Baby, listen to me, I'm ready for the real thing, the real thing. I'm ready for the real thing, the real thing. I'm ready for the real thing, the real thing. I'm ready for the real thing, the real thing. I'm ready for the real thing, the real thing. I'm ready for the real thing, the real thing. I'm ready for the real thing, the real thing. I'm ready for the real thing, the real thing.
You know what to do. +1 if you would forward, -1 if you would not. Yes, that sound is, in fact, my little flying saucer of a CD player. Yeah, you know, I get it why Apple's not putting CD players in their computers anymore, but sometimes you just need one. Some cars are not getting CD players. It's funny, you know, I was looking at a bunch of Nashville stuff the other day. For some reason, I can't remember what I was doing, but still, so many companies in Nashville want stuff on CD. I don't think the CD is completely and utterly dead. And you know what? As I'm sitting here talking to you, I'm looking over, I've got shelves of CDs here, and it's so much easier. I know it sounds old school, but I go back and I look on the shelf. I've got like my taxi favorites, stuff that I worked on back in the day, reference CDs, all these different categories of CDs. And even though it's hard to find stuff on the spine, it's in some regards easier than finding it in iTunes, which I hate the new iTunes interface. Or the last like 3 iTunes interfaces have not been stuff that make me happy. Polly says it was unanimous, 31 forwards, and you would be correct. That was the real thing. So 30, 0 to 31. Got it. Yes, you guys were correct. You were correct. And agreed with the scrainer. And this next one is called It's a Perfect Day. Let's have a listen to that. Every day that you wake up is a perfect day.
Whoa, yeah, whoa. Hey, baby, would you believe we'd be standing hand in hand in the evening breeze? It's a good day when your dreams come true. Hey, baby, look at us now. I was down, aching for a love like yours that I'd already found. It's a good day when you find your way back home. I know dreams can come true when you least expect them to. It's a perfect day. Follow your heart, make a new start. Let it all out, scream and shout. It's a perfect day to tell her how you feel. It's a perfect day to make it all real. Yeah, break it down now. All right. Hey, kid, play your guitar. Whoa, yeah, whoa, yeah. I don't wonder why it took so long for you and I to find each other. Where the time has gone, this day I have you. I know dreams come true when you least expect them to. It's a perfect day. Follow your heart, make a new start. Let it all out, scream and shout. It's a perfect day, tell it how you feel. It's a perfect day to make it all real. Yeah, yeah. So follow your heart, make a new start. Let it all out.
Surprise fade. Whoa, really surprise fade. Sorry. While you guys are voting, +1 if you would forward that, -1 if you were not. Question. Some of the songs, this is from Sasha Rocks, some of the songs did not sound contemporary. Does it matter in a listing like this where it doesn't sound contemporary? You know, a lot of times we have to pry the contemporary out of the people who are running the listing with us because they just automatically assume something is going to be contemporary, or that we would find them contemporary music unless they're looking for vintage. So contemporary, more often than not, is an assumption. And then there are other times where you hear stuff that might not be contemporary, but it's so cool in some other way, and it doesn't sound horribly dated. While it may not sound contemporary in the cutting edge, like, wow, that sounds like singer-songwriters of tomorrow versus 4 years ago, there's still something so incredibly wonderful about the song that you kind of overlook the fact that it may not be on the cutting edge of contemporary. You know, it's subjective. It's art. It's music. It's kind of subjective within the context of what you're doing at the time. Does that make sense? I hope so. You guys are still voting. Okay, Polly's calculating. I hate even saying some of this stuff because I know some people will latch on to what I'm saying because it fits their narrative or their particular thing that wasn't forwarded, or maybe something that was forwarded. Do we have a number? Polly's calculating. Froze in the middle of calculating. You know what, speaking of freezing in the middle of calculating, I actually spilled a Rockstar on this calculator a couple months ago late at night. I was sitting here working and I went to grab something and I knocked over a Rockstar and it soaked the keyboard of my big old-fashioned calculator. And to this day, here, that's what we call a sticky key right there. Okay, 2 forwards, 34 returns. And that was, in fact, a return. So you guys agreed with the screen. You guys are doing, pretty on it. You're right, that is a $2 calculator at Target. And now it's like a 50-cent calculator because half the keys are stuck. So yeah, that was not forwarded. It had some redeeming qualities. It was pretty feel good. It sounded a little dated, maybe. Um, I'm trying. Oh, I actually wrote down dated question mark and then circled it as I was listening. And for a minute, I was going, okay, are those drums real or not real? The tom tom parts made me think that it wasn't. Then I heard something like a roll or something. I mean, wow, is that a real drum kit? I don't know. I don't know. Um, Sin, I don't know how you pronounce that. Sinterman says you need a keyboard membrane. Keyboard condom, I believe, would be the proper thing. All right. Chicago-ish in places. Hey, you don't mean the city, right? You mean the band Mojo? All right. Let's see. What else do we have? Let's listen to one called 1 Mile. How much time? We're doing, we got 10 minutes. Okay. 1 Mile.
Walk into 876, I can't tell right away. You've been drinking all night long. I'm gonna tell you about my problems anyway. Hope it won't take long. I smell the hops and the farms and the orchards. So I'm hearing a new song. My black tire's flat, don't even know if I fix that. It's been a long time. I got 1 mile to go. I can see you down the road. Feels like this is home. Why do I go away? Oh, I think I might sit right down right here. Wandered through Chapman Town, I must have seen some friends there. If I don't break down, give me a Nevada beer. There's something in the air. Everybody's always trying to find a way in a river of emotion. Never walk around and let me hear you say you're doing wrong, son. I got 1 mile to go, and I'll see you down the road. Feels like this is home. Why do I go away? Oh, oh, oh.
All right, cast your vote. +1 if you would forward, -1 if you would not. That was called 1 Mile. Again, there was something that I wanted to comment on. I think somebody asked, do the listings need to be copyrighted and mastered? I think what you might be asking is, do your submissions for the listings need to be copyrighted and mastered? It's copyrighted the minute you put it on tape or digital or a piece of paper or whatever. It's whether or not you register the copyright with the Copyright Office.gov, copyright.gov. Some people, I don't want to say get myself in any trouble. Some of our members do not bother to copyright their instrumental cues because they see them as something that they can make another one of, and that they're, chances of an instrumental cue making them $20,000, $50,000, $100,000, $1 million, not that great. So they don't worry, and they're also, I don't think, afraid that somebody's going to try and rip off an instrumental cue. If you've got a song that you think has any potential life as, like a radio hit or a charted hit, or could get cut by somebody really big, you should protect that copyright. You should register it. Also, it's kind of a rule of thumb that all you need to do is submit something for the registration. Don't wait for the registration form or whatever, the thing to come back in the mail, because it's going to take a while. So that was 0 forwards on that one, 31 returns. You guys voted along with the screener. Once again, you guys are doing well today. And you know what? I saw people chatting in the chat room saying, wow, this is really good ear training. In so many words. That's really what this is all about. I could do a show where I play you nothing but amazing taxi member music. I could do that probably every week. I'm sure I could do that every week. This is about you hearing stuff and going, you know what, that's not really right for the listing. And also hearing things from, mixes. I know it's not great to listen through from speakers through a stereo mic in my webcam, but it's kind of hard to talk over it without wearing headphones and having a little mixer, making the setup a lot harder and getting feedback and having Ustream go into auto mute mode. There's all kinds of technical issues that make me want to just keep doing it this way. But overall, the effect of these shows, the forward and return shows, is to help train your ears. And it looks like it works. So there you go. Love you play this, so helpful. I think that means you like the show. And Caterboat says, Michael, I love this format and concept. Thank you. Look, I enjoy doing it, and I know that people learn from this. People come up to me at our convention every November and say, wow, it's so, so educational and fun, and it is. Okay, we've got one more to listen to. This one is called You'll Be Fine. Let me go find that. All right, here we go. You'll Be Fine.
There's no magic potion for you. I can't tell you much to do. Said I figured him out of your life. See, they are a different breed. Some they ain't like you and me. More complex, more inspired. Say a lot more than you. Tell you what you should and shouldn't do. Don't give up, but just keep on trying. Take a long walk or two. Maybe stroll down Park Avenue. Treat it like a lady and you'll be fine. Hold the hand whenever you can. Pull out a chair every now and then. Treat it like a lady and you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Take her on, picnic one day. Surprise her with a little bouquet. Don't dismiss all the silly things she'll say. A kiss before she brushes her teeth. Say she's pretty before she makes up her face. Make her believe she's right in place. They say things differently. Her thoughts will stay a mystery. But don't give up, just keep on trying. Take her on a walk or two. Make stroll down Park Avenue. Treat her like a lady and you'll be fine. Hold her hand whenever you can. Let her share every now and then. Treat her like a lady and you'll be fine. For you, always be kind and always be true. Think of your mom and your sister when you think I'm being rude. Say a lot more than you do. Tell you what you should and shouldn't do. But don't give up, but just keep on trying. Take a long walk or two. Maybe stroll down Park Avenue. Treat her like a lady and you'll be fine. Hold her hand whenever you can. But let her share more than every now and then. Treat her like a lady and you'll be fine. Oh. Take her on a picnic one day. Surprise her with a little bouquet. Treat her like a lady and you'll be. Treat her like a lady and you'll be. Treat her like a lady and you'll be fine. Oh, you'll be fine.
Sorry. A little heavy on the finger there. +1 if you would forward, -1 if you would not. I think as Sasha, somebody said, ooh, it's funny, some people are saying doesn't exactly fit the listing, some people are saying doesn't exactly fit the references. The whole reference thing is really tough. Sometimes the references, and we've never come up with a better system. I don't know that anybody could, frankly. You have to look at context. Sometimes the references are more meaningful than other times. Sometimes what's written in the body copy of the listing is more meaningful. And there's no way to give you an absolute on either of those. We work really, really, really hard to try and give you guys the best possible information in the context of what the company is looking for. But like I mentioned earlier in the show today, sometimes it's really tough. We had a case today where somebody was looking for future bass, but they gave an example of a song that didn't have anything about it. It was pretty much a pop song until the breakdown came in. That was future bass-like. So that was them giving us an example or a reference. And like, sometimes we have to, say to them, hey, your reference ain't that good. And sometimes you wonder why they call something a certain genre when they probably shouldn't be. And so we have to second guess it and hit them back and go, did you mean this or did you mean that? And they go, oh yeah, you're right. So we kind of wonder. There have been cases where a library owner has put out information, an email to the people already signed to the library saying they're looking for XYZ. And then they'll tell us they're looking for XYZ because they want to get material from people outside of their existing composer list. And so that we could change it up and say, are you sure that that's what you're looking for? Oh, actually, it's not. But the information has already gone out to the composers on their list. So then that email that they send doesn't match the listing we send. And then, people probably think that we're off, but it might have actually been that the library owner was off to begin with, or the person who worked at the library. Okay, Polly says we had 26 forwards and 3 returns on that one. So you guys are right once again. 26 forwards, 3 returns. So you guys, would you guys get like 10 out of 12 that you guys were right about today, I think? Good night, Kano. Good night, Cherry. I think you guys were right a lot of times. And as I said, I don't know that it's necessarily about being right so much as it is training your ears. So I hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget, well, certainly you can't forget, click that subscribe button down in the lower right-hand part of your screen if you're watching this on YouTube. And you know how YouTube loves it when you like us, so like us. Don't forget, next week's show, we are going to have a production music library on the show who's doing something. He actually asked me if he could come on the show and is doing something loosely. I'm making up a title here, but it's kind of what I remember from our phone call. Like 10 stupid things. I don't want to say 10 things, 10 career-killing mistakes. How's that? 10 career-killing mistakes, things that musicians and composers do that can hurt their career. So please don't miss next week's show, and you'd be wise to catch that one live. I know it's a pain in the butt when things are glitching out, but just refresh your browser, switch to a different tab, because you will want the ability next week, I believe, to ask this person some questions live, because if you're watching it on YouTube, you won't be able to. Audio Painter says, I'm right more often due to watching Taxi. I didn't used to be able to choose the screener's choices. Vote with the screeners as often as he or she does now. Yeah, Polly, thank you for doing the tabulations. I appreciate that. We all appreciate it. That's it. My throat's getting dry. It's time to go finish that rock star. See you next week, ladies and gents. Thanks for doing this with me. Talk to you soon. Talk to you in a week. Bye-bye.